Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my weekly review for this week's double premiere. This will be for the first episode, though, of Fear the Walking Dead Season 3's second half. This is for episode 9. It's called Minotaur. And spoiler warning if you guys have not seen both of these episodes yet. So I decided I'm going to break up my review as I did, for the last double, finale for Fear the Walking Dead before the break. I'll do the same for this one. So this review will be for episode 9, and then we'll discuss episode 10 afterwards in the next video on purpose because the episodes are very different. Episode 9 has kind of one focus, and episode 10, it seems to me like even though they're being shown together, they're almost clearly filmed like they were filmed, it seems like, with the intention of having them apart, having them separate, and then probably afterwards they found out they're going to put them both together in terms of timing and show them both on the same night. They didn't really need to because, to be honest, I thought episode 9 was fantastic. Episode 10 we'll get to, but definitely out of the two, my favorite was episode 9. So I like the title even, Minotaur, which is, you've got the body of a human and then a bull head, right? So it makes me think of like bullheaded, like Troy, and kind of no matter what, just going at just bullying right ahead, just doing what Troy does, kind of being as crazy as Troy is and doing the stuff that he does. And he actually, surprisingly, I almost want to say at this point, is becoming one of the standout characters in Fear the Walking Dead for me. Even though he, of course, is not a character from the first couple seasons, just coming in this season, it almost feels like he's been in the show for longer than that. We've seen him now lose his father. Him and his brother constantly fight, and they're constantly at odds with each other. They always disagree with each other. And even though Troy starts off 100% as a villain, I really like to see what they're doing with him in this episode because it's kind of crazy. So we start the episode off with what we saw in the sneak preview, which is we see Walker and the Nation come to the ranch. So they arrive at the ranch, and we see them all, come in, and you've got a lot of people in the ranch don't want them there. You have kind of the question of whether or not they should be there, and part of the militia wanting to fight back against them. Of course, Troy and Nick in this mix here. We've got Madison in there too, and then you've got Taka and all of his people, including Ophelia. And kind of all this mixing pot going together, which just creates all kinds of tension in these episodes, especially episode 9 with tensions, hitting an all-time high when they decide to hand over their guns. In what is an interesting scene as well, too, where you have Jake, who Madison takes Walker's side and says that, okay, we can do that. We can hand over our guns. And basically, I want to say that's pretty much surrender at that point. I mean, if you give over your weapons, which obviously Troy does not want to do, and you can definitely see why, because then, that other, faction or these other people who you were at war with before and poisoned your people with anthrax, I mean, of anything, they have, the weapons, they have total control, total power over you if you give up your weapons at that point. So we start off with the interesting music. Death is not the end, just remember, as Madison wakes up, and we're starting to see some things here that she's discovering their water situation and the problem that they're going to be facing very soon. It's a bit weird for me with the intro music. It's just a little bit strange. So we've got Troy to Nick, the soul of a poet part that we got in a sneak peek as well too. And I do kind of like sort of this I almost want to say brotherly relationship that Nick and Troy have, and kind of the way they kind of play off each other and the way they're both kind of out there type of people. Nick, of course, a recovering junkie and somebody who's had a lot of problems. Troy obviously has tons of issues. Walker at one point calls him a sociopath. I think you can go beyond that and say maybe he's even psycho a little bit. But, just to see kind of the way him and Nick interact with each other is interesting for sure. We get to the intro as Walker and the others roll in. Then we've got Troy doesn't like Ophelia being there, and it's definitely a weird situation. Here's the lady who poisoned all your people with anthrax and did all of this. And then because they've kind of surrendered, she's there. And of course, you can see why the militia would want to fight back against them, definitely, and all the tension that would cause, especially in episode 2, which we'll get to when they find out they're starting to run out of water. So then we've got the question, of course, of his dad being dead, and Troy says that he wants to dig him up, even though he was a drunk. And Nick tells him a bit about his dad, and they kind of have, I almost want to say it grows their relationship, because Nick had lost his dad from the accident, so far as he knows, even though he thinks maybe it wasn't, maybe he chose that, maybe he committed suicide. And then you've got Troy, who, of course, at this time thinks that as well, too. Then we've got Daniel in the water, and we just get to see a few scenes with Daniel and Lola, in and between in these episodes. I want to say, those scenes, it's not that they were out of place, but they just didn't move ahead a whole lot. There wasn't a whole lot going on there. It's kind of like they were put in there to let us know, hey, don't forget about them. They're going to be coming up this half. There's some stuff going on, and they're having trouble controlling the water. They're having trouble controlling, who gets what and giving it to people and keeping the peace and this kind of deal. Kind of just let us know that they're still there, and there's this stuff, some stuff going on with them. But really, it doesn't have a whole lot of effect on the other stuff yet until those two kind of come together, which will probably be next week's episode 11. We've got the Jake's speech for a better future. We've got Taka. We can fight against the hell outside, which we did hear in the promo before. We've got Nicholas and Ophelia questioning her about guilt, and her saying that she doesn't really have that much guilt, which we can kind of understand because of how Jeremiah treated her and left her for dead. You can understand that she might not. Plus, she's alone. She doesn't have her family anymore. So, you can understand. She says that she is her daughter's or her father's daughter. Taka prepared to handle Troy if it comes to that. So you got the question of Troy, and of course that kind of pops off later on. We've got sleeping with the enemy brother, which I do like when he says that to him. I think it's kind of funny. We got somewhat of an action sequence as Terrence, who's a fat kid, the fat kid tries to shoot one of the Nation members, pulls a gun on him, and then he gets chokeholded, and they said that he may or may not survive, something damaged in his throat from the chokehold. It seemed like a pretty clean chokehold to me, though. It didn't seem like he'd get, he'd have any serious problems from it afterwards, but whatever, we don't know how hard he, cranked down on it. And then you got Troy kind of going crazy as the gunfire goes off when they come to try to take the weapons or the weapon from him. He won't allow it to happen, and Nick kind of gets stuck inside with him. Then we get the reveal. So I really like the reveal a lot. It's probably the best part of the episode. I really liked how they used the sound and how it all kind of just kind of fades out, or you hear like, kind of a, and then it just kind of zones out, which is kind of cool. And that happens too. It's kind of like not like being knocked out, but sort of if you get kind of stunned, or if you're in that kind of just everything slowing down around you. It was a really good touch, I thought, the way they used that one with Troy, and I liked it a lot. Thought it was really good. Exciting part too. I didn't think anyone was going to die here, so it wasn't like crazy exciting. I didn't really think they were going to kill Troy off at this point. So because we had already seen stuff in the promo of him, outside of the community and that, so we kind of knew everybody was going to survive here. But it was still pretty exciting nonetheless. And it also kind of showed, I want to say, Troy just kind of losing it 100% to the point where he knows he basically has no chance to win, but he's going to fight anyway and kind of maybe go down just like Jeremiah wanted to. In the end, just like his father. So chip off the old block, which is kind of cool because it kind of goes earlier on to the season where we thought they were a lot different and Troy was really messed up, but Jeremiah wasn't. And then we kind of found out that no, that's not really true. Troy is actually a lot like Jeremiah, maybe a little worse, but maybe not, depending on how you want to look at it. It was good. Then we've got the others, Nick turning on him so that the others are able to come in and get them both, and Nick getting punished in the box, so to speak. And then you have, which I did like some of the scenes in there. That was kind of cool. And then Troy gets exiled and goes after Madison as part of it, and ends up, Madison getting him off of her and getting out of there. What was he going to do with her? I don't know. I don't know what he was going to do there. I didn't think he was really going to do anything anyway. I just think he was trying to, I don't know. It's just kind of how crazy Troy is, because he could have just left without having killed the other guy who was the Nation member who was there with him. but I guess he just couldn't, and that's kind of the madness that Troy is right now, that he just can't let anything go, and he's just like, just going nuts, and just kind of going crazy all over the place and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So one bullet he gets, he's exiled, and he's got a chance to survive. I am thinking that he will survive, and maybe become a pretty sweet villain in the future, never to come back, but of course, as we know, he's going to. And I like how he calls Madison the White Witch of the Apocalypse. That was fun. And killing Claude was a cool scene, and Troy being tired and kind of walks off. Really like the walk off, and just I thought it was fantastic, just the visuals and everything. A lot different from what we're used to with the regular Walking Dead, so that's cool. Getting used to it with Fear, but just looking good. And him saying that he's tired. He's just tired of fighting so much, and he's just tired overall. Because no matter what, like he kills somebody or this happens or that happens, and it just. His life, it seems to be totally out of control. No matter what he does, he just kind of ends up whatever. So he's just at this point going with it. So, in the end of the episode, I thought it was a really good mid-season premiere episode. I'm going to give it a 9.3 out of 10. I thought it was really great. And, Fear has these little glimpses of greatness here and there. And I thought the scene at the end, when he kind of walks off, was really, really great. Similarly with the scene just before the break, when Madison delivers the head to Walker. It's got a few here and there. It's like, oh man, that's a really, really great scene. And I thought that the one at the end there was really good, and also the reveal for Troy earlier that it was actually Nick who was the one who killed Jeremiah. Jeremiah did not commit suicide. That was really good as well too, and exciting to think, like, is he going to shoot him? What is he going to do? Just a really exciting episode, pretty action-packed with Troy kind of losing it. And also there's the part with Troy in the... when Nicholas is seeing a hallucination of Troy, which I thought was really cool, because it kind of has Troy play off like he's some kind of like maybe a little bit of Joker in there, a little bit of kind of craziness. No, I don't think so. I just really like the way the actor who plays Troy, I don't even know his name yet. I'm going to look it up after this, but he really did a good job, man. He really, really did a good job, I thought. It was just really cool to see. Him and have you get to see his hand. So once you see his hand, it's a hallucination and it's Nicholas and the heat, kind of seeing things. It's a mirage, so to speak. But it's just kind of cool how he's become his shadow, so to speak, or his tormentor in his hallucination-ary state. It's just kind of cool. So I really like the episode. We finished it off with 6 weeks left worth of water, and Alicia being the strong one. Nick, I love you, and that's pretty much it. So that's it for the first episode. So I really liked it. I thought it was great. It was really cool for Troy. They need more characters in Fear, because if you look at, losing, like, spoiler warning, losing Travis earlier on this season, not having that many of a core group, they need to develop some other characters for the future of the series. And I think Troy is just one that could be such a great villain in the future. I thought this episode 9, was fantastic, just to kind of cement in him as this just loose cannon, chaotic, just crazy type of villain that you're not going to be able to predict what he's going to do. You're not going to know. And, just so aggressive and just kind of all over the place and out there, now being exiled without anybody. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Troy in the future for Fear. I wonder if he might be our governor, so to speak, or one of our big villains that we might see more of, getting closer to the finale of this season. Maybe becoming, and then season 4 he could have his own group or something. I could really see that. So we'll see what happens with him. But great episode. I really liked episode 9 a lot. That'll be it for this review, guys. Write your comments below. Let me know what your favorite parts of this episode were. I definitely thought it was better than episode 10, but we'll be back anyway to discuss episode 10, because it's got its own stuff going on, so we want to review that. And if you like this video, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite. Leave a comment below on how you felt about what they did with Troy this episode, and I'll see you again soon for another video. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. See you guys in about half an hour.